My name is Victoria. I'm a master tutor here at the TC, and I'm joined today by Marco. And we're going to do a podcast about, our educational journeys. And this is just to show, we're going to do one of these with each of the MTs, and it's just going to show how our educational journeys have differed, and that's okay. How we do things differently. So, getting right into it, do you want to go ahead and tell me about yourself, your major, your class, and what do you want to do when you graduate?
Yeah, so I'm Marco, as you introduced me.
Yeah.
I am an MT here, and I am a fourth-year student, so I'm a senior. Hopefully going to graduate soon.
Hopefully.
So we'll see about that, how my classes go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I am studying biochemistry. So I'm a pre-med student studying biochemistry and hoping to go to med school somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that's really exciting. What kind of made you want to get into the medical field?
I've always thought, hey, I need to get into the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
I like to help people, so when I was younger and we had a school project, I was like, what am I going to be when I grow up? I have so many questions, and I thought, okay, how can I help people? And I thought a doctor, a doctor can do that. So I said, let's go for that. And so since then, I've kind of explored, nursing, pharmacy, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've still, been on the pursuing medicine to become a doctor. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll get there someday.
Someday. It might take a while because that's one of the longest degrees.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, I remember one time when I went to be a psychologist. And then I saw it was 9 years,
yeah.
And I was like, might need to rethink that one.
Right.
But no, that's literally such a great, to be able to realize from such a young age what you wanted to do, yes. I'm jealous. I still don't know what I'm doing half the time.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they tell me, they're like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, and they're, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I feel like I was talking to someone and they asked me, well, when are you going to go to med school? Next year, 2 years? And I don't know just yet, but I feel like I've got time. We've all got time.
Exactly.
So.
I think, especially coming to college, there's kind of a rush to things. So, you need to figure out what you want to do before you graduate. You need to know what career you want to go into.
Definitely.
And sometimes students don't even know what they want to major in or if they're sure about their major. And so I think it's okay to realize that it's okay to take time and not put pressure on such a big decision that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Very true. I feel like a lot of, we don't consider that we have this plan. We're going to get a degree and then get into the workforce, and that's hopefully what we'll be enjoying to do and do it for the rest of our lives. And a lot of people rush into that, like you said, and that can be kind of detrimental to some people.
Yeah, some people find out oh, I did this major, didn't really like it, but I thought maybe it'd be better in the real world, and then I get there and I'm so unhappy.
Yes.
And so I think it's really important to take time and decide, is this what I'm going to want to do for the rest of my life? Am I going to be happy with it? And so, yeah, I definitely agree. So, moving forward, what made you choose Texas Tech, and what were your other options before coming to college?
Yeah, so I guess what I wanted to do was go to a small school, which I know Texas Tech isn't really that.
Still kind of big.
Yeah, pretty big. So I wanted to go to a small school. I applied to some liberal arts colleges, private schools, stuff like that. And the money just wasn't there. It was still too affordable for me. So then I started looking in-state, let's stay here. And I got some pretty good offers, but in the end, Texas Tech was the best offer.
Mm-hmm.
They were willing to pay for everything, and I felt very welcomed throughout my whole admissions process, speaking to administration, looking for guidance and stuff like that, recruiters. So I always got a very nice vibe from Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And so when I found out that they were giving me a lot of money for scholarships, I was like, hey, let me do this. Yeah. So I went, I came here, I liked it, my tour and stuff, my orientation, and I was like, hey, let's do it. And I've liked it so far. It's been a pretty great experience.
And so you started here in 2017?
2018.
2018. Gotcha. So that's exciting. Yeah, I remember I came to, it was my senior year of high school. I still had no idea what college I wanted to go to. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing yet, to be honest. We don't know. And I came to Texas Tech as a part of the October preview. And I did fall in love with the area. I liked the campus. I liked that it's not as big as other campuses, like you were saying. It's not big. It's not small. but it's not big. And so
Right.
like you can still get around campus. It's still pretty. There's still like a lot of majors. It's really developed. And so I really enjoyed that about tech, and the fact that like, I don't know, did you take into consideration like the medical school, I guess, acceptance rates from tech? Because I know like the roles we have like, oh, after you graduate, there's like a 90% job placement after you graduate. Like a lot of people, it's easier to find them or easier for them to find jobs from the role. So did you look into any like medical acceptance rates?
Yeah. So I hadn't looked. So I looked into like the medical program because
Mhm.
my cousin, when I was a freshman in high school, he was a freshman here at Tech, and so he
Okay.
was the one that kind of told me, hey, medical program here is pretty good. There's some pretty good programs that you should look into. So I kind of like looked at it a bit, and then towards my senior year, I was like, oh man, where am I going? Kind of like you. And
Yeah.
when I looked at Tech, I looked at like how their school of medicine is. There's a health sciences center, and like what they offer, like they have a simulation hospital, stuff like that. And I was like, hey, I like that. I like it. I didn't look too far into like how much like the admission rate or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I looked at the different assets, like what it actually gives their students, and I was like, hey, this is really neat. So definitely that was a deciding factor.
Definitely. Yeah, I found out kind of because I did dual credit classes in college. It kind of gave me insight onto what I looked for in college, and I really enjoyed that hands-on experience. Like that was like the best way I learned, and so I really relate to you there. Like that was maybe a factor that went into me deciding on Texas Tech. It's just that hands-on role you can get.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's very important because we don't want to throw ourselves in there and just be like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
We kind of want to be a little more familiar with it, like you said, hands on.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, especially for me, graduating, it's 2.5 years, like really fast.
Yes.
Yeah, not spending a lot of time here. There's this kind of nervousness of leaving college and not feeling like I know enough. And so it's like I need that hands-on to ensure myself that like, yes, you know what you're doing, you're prepared, you can do it type thing.
Right. I can only imagine how you feel. 2.5 years and in like a couple months.
Yes.
I'm feeling like that, and it's my 4th year, and I'm not supposed to graduate until May. So
Yeah, this nervousness around it.
definitely, it's overwhelming.
It is. It really is. But kind of going off that, tell me about your educational journey. I know this is a kind of broad question, but like, has there been struggles? What have been your high points? Just kind of tell me, like, at Texas Tech, how you've made it.
Yeah. So, man, my educational journey I feel like it's been pretty intense, and it's still getting intense.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
as a biochem major, I hear the name Dr. Dini a lot, and that's so intro to bio is a freshman level course, but everyone's advised to not take it till their sophomore year.
Oh, wow.
So that already is intimidating in itself.
Yeah.
And so I felt good. I took it my second year of college, and that class is intense. Dr. Dini's just very knowledgeable and gets very specific on the different processes, and so that class was very challenging for me. So I took him in the fall and in the spring for Bio 1 and 2, and that year for sure, those 2 semesters were so overwhelming because I had to do a lot of studying, a lot of paying attention in class. Sometimes I can get away with being like 70% in class, 30% thinking about other things, and then I review my notes on my own. Not with Dr. Dini. I needed to like pay attention.
Everything he said was important.
Everything, even the littlest thing that I would have thought it's not too important. It was intense. It was crucial. So that one definitely a lot of panic attacks and a lot of studying. But I got through it, and
that's what counts.
Yes, for sure, that's what counts. And so I think my second year was pretty intense. My third year got even more intense with biochemistry, and then now with physical chemistry, that takes the cake. So it's been really stressful. But coming to use my resources, the Learning Center, SI sessions, those resources, really helped me better understand the material and be prepared for class. And, I feel like if you really want to do well and you put in the effort, you definitely get it.
Yes.
You'll get through it.
To make it through, yeah. So I mean, there's kind of this you were talking about panic attacks and always having to study and kind of feeling overwhelmed. How do you think from that was your sophomore year?
Yes.
How do you think that kind of shaped you into the student you are
Yeah, so I was always I feel like I was always closed minded,
now?
and after that, I definitely got a little more open about like, hey, if regardless of whether it's on me or just because things happen, if I can control it, then I should do something about it, such as
Yeah.
studying early. If something happens and I have to take the exam in an hour and I don't know anything else, like I've done my part, I've studied, then you can just go with it.
Yeah.
You got to take it and not stress so much.
Yeah.
And so I've been told by people, peers and mentors, like, hey, control what you can, and what you can't, let it happen.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely learned more to just work hard, but of course, you can't stress over everything because there are things that you can't control.
Exactly. So going off like what you mentioned, like prioritizing self-care, I think is really important and not something that's mentioned a lot to students. Like, I know me coming here, my first semester or two, I was like, oh, I'm flying by, I'm doing great. Like, don't even need to study, don't need to worry about homework. But then you get to those upper level courses and you're like, no, like I need to spend more time on this. I need to focus more on my homework, focus more on my grades. But with that comes the stress of like getting good grades.
Yes.
And realizing like, oh my gosh, like if I don't get a good grade, I'm not a good student, and I think we need to really prioritize self-care in that sense, and that like it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to, yes, you need to study, but maybe you need a day off. Maybe you're burnt out, and those things that affect it. And like a lot of people don't talk about that, especially in college. I feel like there's this issue of just like you just got to keep going. Like you just got to. Like there's no other option. And I think there's like placed a lot of stress on that for a lot of students. And like Texas Tech has done a great job with like their mental health awareness.
Yes, definitely. I agree with you. I know, like, I feel like going back from COVID and like distance learning, getting back in person and all this stuff. I feel like it's been pretty stressful and overwhelming. And I agree. Texas Tech has been promoting mental health and telling us like, hey, take care of yourself. So I agree with you 100%. It's very important. And yeah, I mean, more people need to. Me myself, I didn't take mental health too serious. I thought it was,
Yes.
you just get over it. The next day, you'll be smiling again. But that's not at all how it happens. And we definitely need to take care of ourselves because it can creep up on you and then be very, very devastating.
Definitely. I mean, you mentioned COVID. It's kind of totally slipped my mind with where we're at now, kind of getting back to some normalcy. But I mean, it definitely, like, reflecting upon myself, this semester has been a little bit more stressful or overwhelming than the past 2 semesters because everything's back in person now, like fully back in person for classes, fully back in person for work. And so I find myself literally Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 on campus, working or going to class. And it can be really overwhelming. Like, how do I not get burnt out? And so there's really that focus on self-care there. Like those nights at nighttime when I go home, that's my time. Like if it has to be some time for something else, then I need to preset that aside and realize like, hey, this needs to get done. And I understand like this is the time I set aside for myself, but sometimes you just have to have those. But like prioritizing those breaks and that time to sit back, relax, watch TV, watch a movie, play some video games, like whatever your hobby is, like go out and do that. Or if you're exhausted, you just don't want to do anything, lay in bed.
Yeah, take that time.
Take that time. Exactly. But moving on to our last question. Love the English language. What do you think were some key skills that got you to where you are today, especially within this position here at the TC?
I think communication probably did it. I learned. I mean, communication. I feel like is always evolving, but not exactly like that. I mean, like evolving. Like when you're in middle school, you have to communicate with your teacher and your peers and stuff. When you go to high school, you get involved into more organizations. You go into college, and even in high school sometimes you go into the workforce. So communication, you need to learn how to do it in different ways.
Yeah.
For instance, before I was a tutor, I wouldn't really communicate through email. It would just be like knock on the door and or if I see this person in class or on a work shift, then I talk to them. But emails were real like weird. Like I
It's
I
just
don't
like you
use it
see
enough.
them, but you don't respond. You don't. Yeah.
Exactly. So having to learn how to communicate is very important, and I think that's really helped me. Um, just because communication is like I said, it's key. You use it everywhere in class, in work, in the real world, and I feel like it's definitely helped me.
Yeah.
Get through different situations and learn to move up and go forward in life.
Exactly. And kind of going off that, I just thought of this other question that I felt like was really important. But how did you find out about the TC, and what do you think ultimately led you to work here?
So one of my friends was actually a tutor at the TC,
Okay.
and so I was like, "Hey, what do you do? When you're not in class?" And he said, "I'm a tutor." And he mentioned how the Technique Center is specialized for students with disabilities, and I tutored in high school, like on a very low scale.
Yeah.
But I was like, I really liked it because, especially like for me, I I struggle with classes.
Yeah.
I struggle to grasp material, and so when I get tutored, I love it because someone's helping me.
No, it's okay. We'll just continue.
Because someone's helping me. It's like that one-to-one connection. And so when I heard about the TC, I thought, I need to apply. And so I did, and I've been loving it ever since. Being able to work with a person and look out for that aha moment. Like I finally get this. It makes so much sense.
That's like the best part.
It is definitely, especially because I know, like, my first year I wouldn't reach out to people for help, so I kind of struggled on my own and got through it, and it was really really hard. So being able to see others, like when I tutor courses that I've taken, like chemistry, English, and seeing that they're picking it up so fast, like it's real, it's real pleasing to see that.
Yeah, it's honestly just so great to be helpful and seeing like. I think you mentioned a great point of like you struggle in classes. I struggle in classes. Like even as tutors, we still struggle, but we're gonna do our best to make sure we succeed and to help our students succeed. And that could be extra prep time resources. That could be just going to talk to the academic counselors or other tutors or other master tutors and like getting their advice and their opinion. And honestly, I think the TC has been such an integral part of my educational journey, just in the sense of I've grown so much here professionally, personality-wise even, but like it has also helped my education in a really weird way. Like I am tutoring accounting, financial accounting, which is the #1 class that business students struggle with because it's really hard. I'm tutoring it for like my 3rd semester now, and I kid you not, I'm still always learning new things and always finding better ways to tutor in. So like at the end of the day, like I'm still improving my education, and it's so weird to think about that.
That's very true. Like that's something that I know I don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
When I was tutoring Gen Chem 2, which is it's a little difficult, and if you mess up on one spot, it changes the whole thing.
Yes.
Well, there was this topic where when my student brought up questions, I was like, ooh, like I wasn't too hot on it, but then I looked at it and I explained it to them in a way, and they picked it up like this. And I was just like, wow, where was this when I was taking it? That I learned so much more about it through myself reviewing the material and with the student, asking all these questions from different angles. I feel like helps you look at it differently. And even like having the tutor courses that I haven't taken, like horticulture, it's about grasses and stuff. And when and
flowers.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff that I would never thought about taking, but my student asks me, like, hey, let's review the quiz, and I'll sometimes like answer the question on my own, and like, hey, I understood it, and it's really good because that helps me be a better tutor for my student and be more engaged in the during our sessions. So I feel like it's really important, and like you said, it you kind of build yourself up on that.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree there. But I mean, just goes to show that like we do have similar educational experiences or work experiences, but at the end of the day, we have so many different majors, and we all kind of view things differently or go through our education throughout college differently. And hopefully, our watchers and listeners have kind of got to know more about you, Marco, and kind of your experiences. But any last notes that you want to add to our podcast today?
I would just say that if you're ever struggling, like in anything, life, mental health, courses, definitely, reach out to anybody.
Yes.
Anybody. Because I feel like in general, as people, we're here for others, especially here at the TC.
And sometimes it may not feel like that.
Exactly. Sometimes I know for me, sometimes it wouldn't feel like that, and now I definitely know that people are here for you. So
yes.
I would just end on that, and if you see me around the TC, say hi.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much, Marco.
Of course.
Thank you all for listening.